flames lit the sky over the Pearl River Delta in 1809 as war junks swarmed the banks of Sanshan. The attackers arrived with overwhelming force, moving through the smoke with long bamboo pikes and exploding cannons, their captain promising 10 silver coins for every villager's head. The villagers had made the mistake of refusing to pay their protection money to the local pirate syndicate. Over 3 days of looting, 2,000 people were killed. When the attackers finally sailed away, they set the village on fire and left 80 severed heads hanging from a banyan tree as a warning. These victims were citizens of the Qing Dynasty. At the time, China was the wealthiest state on earth, governing a third of the world's population. Yet the imperial government was completely powerless to stop the slaughter. While the Qing Dynasty commanded a massive economy, it was running on an administrative framework that had remained largely unchanged for 2,000 years. The bureaucracy simply could not scale to manage a rapidly booming population of nearly 400 million people. This diagram illustrates how imperial control functioned like a gravitational field. At the center, in Beijing, the emperor's pull is absolute. But 2,000 kilometers south, along the subtropical coast of Guangdong, that influence fractures and fades into a chaotic maze of swamps and islands. In this peripheral region, the population had tripled in a century, and land was running out. Marginalized communities known as the Tanka were forced by law to live entirely on boats, excluded from land ownership and imperial exams. When fishing nets came up empty, these drifting families turned to smuggling and seasonal piracy just to survive. The state had lost its grip on the coast, leaving millions desperate and alienated. It was a massive market gap, a highly motivated, impoverished labor force, waiting for someone capable of organizing them. Somewhere in that drifting world, a Tanka girl grew up working on a floating brothel. In 1801, a powerful pirate captain named Zheng Yi visited her boat. Within months, they were married, and she became Zheng Yi Sao, literally wife of Zheng Yi. Together, they realized that pirates constantly fighting each other was terrible for business. They engineered a massive consolidation, incorporating 6 rival fleets into a unified, mafia-style syndicate to dominate the Pearl River trade corridor. But in 1807, Zheng Yi suddenly died, leaving a dangerous power vacuum. Before anyone else could make a move, Zheng Yi Sao took control. She immediately married Zhang Bao, a young captain who was her late husband's adopted son, placing him directly in charge of the primary Red Flag fleet. By Confucian standards, a widow marrying her stepson was scandalous. By organizational standards, it was brilliant. She locked down the military chain of command and secured absolute control over a highly volatile syndicate without shedding a drop of blood. This chart shows the true scale. On his best day, Blackbeard commanded 4 ships and 300 men. Zheng Yi Sao commanded 1,800 ships and 70,000 personnel. Keeping that army in line required strict governance. Every piece of loot was inspected. The captor kept 20%. The remaining 80% went into a central treasury. Disobeying a superior meant decapitation. They diversified their revenue. The formal nature of this economy is visible on this stamped silver Saisi ingot, representing currency flowing through legitimate tax bureaus the pirates opened inland. They even forced imperial salt merchants to pay for pirate passports for safe passage. She operated a parallel state. Her syndicate provided healthcare, paid performance bonuses, and managed alliances with a level of efficiency that outperformed the government trying to destroy her. By 1809, the Qing were desperate. They imposed a coastal embargo to starve the fleet, and even paid the Portuguese a mountain of silver to send modern warships to help. But Zheng Yi Sao simply pivoted. Her squadrons poured inland and blockaded Guangzhou itself, choking the empire's customs revenue until the capital city felt the pressure. Even with foreign help, the Qing Navy couldn't break the fleet. Instead, they switched tactics, offering full amnesty to any leader who flipped. When a rival commander defected, Zheng Yi Sao realized the pirate bubble was about to burst and she needed an exit strategy. In early 1810, she walked into a government office in Macau with thousands of loyal followers. She submitted a deeply humble petition, promising to sell their swords and buy cows, while quietly holding the ability to burn the entire coast to the ground if they refused. The Qing accepted the deal to stop the violence. She kept her fleet's wealth, secured full amnesty for 17,000 pirates, and had her husband installed as a naval officer. She executed a perfect corporate buyout, retiring to run a gambling house until she died peacefully at age 69. The fact that the Qing had to rely on foreign gunboats and offer full amnesty was a fatal admission of imperial weakness. 30 years later, European powers would exploit that exact vulnerability during the Opium Wars, aggressively carving out colonial trade zones along the Chinese coast. We still see this pattern today. In places like the Gulf of Aden, when a state collapses or leaves a vacuum on the water, organized networks of local fishermen emerge to claim the territory. These groups act as violent tax collectors and regulators. When an official government fails to provide security or economic stability, a shadow economy inevitably develops to distribute the wealth instead. Zheng Yi Sao exploited a failing system. She built an empire from society's outcasts, proving that when a state abandons its people, a more ruthless and efficient organization will always rise to fill the void.